I liked to bring good into the world, to have a direct impact on the community by organizing exhibitions that speak to people in a different way. We created an artwork based on the new field of oncofertility, which bridges oncology and reproductive medicine. We wanted to get patients closer to their physicians.
So, hello everyone. Nice to meet you again to a new edition of Beyond the Cancer Diagnosis interview series. Today it's my pleasure to have with me Natalia Marin. She's an art curator and medical student. Natalia, welcome and thank you for accepting my invitation.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Your main field of expertise is art curator, but also you are a medical student with focus on oncology.
Yes.
So to begin our interview, I would like to ask you, what is the connection between art, medical care, to put it this way, and oncology field?
Well, they're interconnected. Both art and healthcare help people in different ways, but they have kind of the same goal. In regards to maybe how I intertwine these two fields, I specifically curate exhibitions at the intersection of art and healthcare. So all the artworks are related to the medical field in a way or another. Either the artist has experienced certain illness or was, I don't know, the caregiver of someone who was diagnosed with a certain illness, or it's artworks created by medical professionals, by physicians, by nurses in collaboration with artists. So everything is fully intertwined.
But you are, let's say, you are first an art curator. This is your, let's say, main job. And
I wouldn't say it's I wouldn't say separate me being a medical student and me being an art curator. I don't have two jobs. I only have one job because this is how I see it. I would say that I'm first thing first, a medical student, as it takes a lot of time, most of my time actually. And secondly, I liked to bring good into the world, to have a direct impact on the community by organizing exhibitions that speak to people in a different way, that tackle the medical issues.
With regard to exhibitions, before we proceed further, I would like to ask you, as a person who is interested in art, and I work with artists in Romania for a long time, support them. Let's put it this way: there is a difference in the, of course, in the subjects, but on the feelings that a painting of a cancer patient's caregiver draw and an artist by profession. It is something that we, let's say, the profanes of art could identify, or they are not separately.
I don't necessarily actually work only with paintings. Mostly it's artworks that directly talk about that medical topic. For example, I can give you a direct example so it's easier. We created an artwork based on the new field of oncofertility, which bridges oncology and reproductive medicine. And we had Suzanne Anker, which is a pioneer of bioart, meaning art with living organisms, or art that is directly intertwined with biology. So she got into the lab and she got to observe embryos and frozen embryos that belong, let's say, to cancer patients, because oncofertility mostly focuses on preserving fertility for cancer patients so that after completing the treatment, they are still able to have biological children. And she observed these embryos and then went back to her studio as an artist. She's an artist. And she created some installations, some sculptures, and some prints. She took the pictures of the frozen embryos and put them in a kind of like a collage way with some pictures of frozen plants, of perennial plants that during winter are covered by snow. They are dormant. They pretty much die. They go to sleep. And then in spring, they come back again, just as beautiful, and they bloom, and it's everything. It's life comes back again. So she compared these frozen embryos that can sit there for a certain period of time, and this process of IVF, of defrosting them and reimplanting them in the uterus of the female who's about to give birth again, to the perennial plants. And this comparison speaks directly to the visitors of the exhibition. As they walk past it and they see the prints of the little embryos next to the plants and read the text, they understand the process of IVF and what oncofertility is better. So this is quite like art becomes science communication. And she works directly with oncologists, she works with embryologists. So it's not necessarily cancer patients that paint something and artists that paint something else, and we compare the two. And obviously, we would see a difference in technique and we would see a difference in aesthetics. It's just someone who does that for a living versus someone who would do that out of passion or maybe for therapeutical reasons. But I mostly work with this kind of science communication through art.
And now comes the questions that I wanted to put it before this. Everyone nowadays talks about art therapy. Also, a part of my professional colleagues, a part of cancer patients, talk about art therapy, being involved in art therapy. So everything is art therapy. But what you mentioned before, it's a deeply, let's say, form of also both art and therapy. And in this regard, could you please define for our audience what art therapy means in terms of therapy, the classic art therapy, and then what science, as you mentioned before, wants to communicate to the public, to the profags, to put it this way, because it is a misunderstanding in the concepts. So I would like very much to define it and our audience to understand exactly what means art therapy and what is science communication.
So I will try to be as comprehensive as possible and use as accessible language as possible. Art therapy is mostly related to using art, any kind of art, be it painting or modeling things, even creating little sculptures, playing with sand sometimes. It can either be dance therapy, movement therapy, music therapy. So anything that is related to using art as a form of finding a way to heal yourself, to I wouldn't necessarily say you humanize the experience, but mostly to help you stay in a certain positive mindset and to find a way to cope with your journey in a positive way. It's basically trying to heal yourself. Whether science communication in art is using a medical topic for creating an artwork, either as inspiration. You read a scientific article and you like a certain topic and you're an artist, you don't necessarily have scientific expertise, but you go in a laboratory or you talk to a physician and you find a way to collaborate and to create a new artwork that is truly based on real scientific facts. So you're communicating with a visual piece, be it a photography piece or a video or an installation, a painting even. You're communicating a real scientific fact. And you're doing it in an easier way because people are usually more receptive to visual things, to interesting aesthetic things. So they get to understand that scientific concept without actually reading the whole article and trying to figure out what's going on. So it's different, but they both use art at the core of it.
And both of them bring emotion.
Yes,
to the public.
That's true.
And with focus to what you mentioned, to the science communications, you talk about visual things. Which, let's say, not type, but which kind of visual things did you notice that have a greater impact on public? Photography, sculptures, paintings, which type?
This is a great question, actually. Well, it's still an ongoing research. I'm still researching this myself as a curator, and every single time I'm more and more fascinated by different reactions from different types of visitors, from different, let's say, education fields, levels, and so on. By far, I would say that the most impactful form of exhibiting something is the interactive artwork. And I will give an example from my most recent exhibition in New York City. An artist, Federico Muelas, who is also a professor at the School of Visual Arts in New York, and he went through cancer and now is cancer-free after 4 years of treatment. During these 4 years, he wrote a comic book on his own journey. And the main character was basically himself. And he published a book. The book is out there. You can buy it. You can read it. People were very, very receptive to it, and they loved the concept. And so many cancer patients and oncologists and cancer survivors, they reacted very positively to that. And we decided to create some other interviews of other cancer survivors for this exhibition, using the same concept of creating comic books, like little comic stories for each one of them. And we exhibited those comic books because the exhibition is in the lobby of a hospital. So you couldn't really just take a book and read it because it's too many visitors at the same time looking at the same thing. So he came up with an interesting idea of putting a tablet. Also, the exhibition is in a vitrine, so it's behind glass, with a motion sensor. A tablet with you could wave in front of it and you could flip the page. And everyone was so entertained to have that experience, to just go in front of it and read a whole comic book, flipping the page, just like waving in front of the tablet. And I could see that they started talking to each other, pure strangers in a gallery in a hospital lobby. They started discussing the topic. And this rarely happens in galleries unless it's people from the same field, from the arts field or I don't know, medical field even. It was patients connecting with each other on a random day at the hospital. So I think this was the interactive version was definitely the most impactful form. But we see.
Yeah, because we are talking in oncology about integrative approach on cancer patients. So this is a wonderful example of what integrative means within a community.
Yes.
It's not everything we do. It is inside of community. And I guess you mentioned this project, your sole project, AI Brighter Tomorrow, no?
Yes.
Cancer and beyond. And I would like to share the story behind or the idea behind these exhibitions that you have now in New York, and which you want you intend to go further with it. So what was the foundation of this construction?
I will be absolutely honest with you. It started with an email to Jody Moise, who is the director of the Fine Art Program and Collection at Montefiore Einstein in New York City, the healthcare system Montefiore Einstein. And I wanted to do an exhibition on cancer in a hospital. This was my idea. It started with a few works from a few artists and a concept, and I emailed her that concept. And I totally forgot about it for like, I think 6 months. She replied she liked it. And she said, okay, let's do it. And we kept adding artists, and we kept getting in contact with artists that are also cancer survivors. And we kept discovering that there are more and more, and unfortunately, more and more artists that went through this and that were willing to share their stories to the public and be fully raw and vulnerable with complete strangers. So this is how we took it from a single exhibition concept to an initiative, because this is what it has begun to look like now. And we built this exhibition from zero. We've rewritten the whole concept, and we started working together towards the same goal of communicating with patients directly, of getting the healthcare system closer to its patients in a way that not only showcases the feelings behind this journey, because it's feelings that we can all kind of guess, we can all kind of, understand to a certain level, but it was mostly about showcasing the hidden aspects of it. All the questions that we're too afraid to ask a cancer patient or a cancer survivor, questions that maybe they want to be asked, and they never get to answer them because they never have the context for it. Also showcasing different aspects of a cancer diagnosis, like the oncofertility field, the part of losing your fertility after a cancer treatment, the grief of losing that fertility, the grief of the caregiver witnessing the whole process. We wanted to showcase all the reality of it, but in a way that's friendly, that doesn't scare people away, in a way that gets the message across without creating fear, without making people reluctant to actually reach out to their physician. We wanted to get patients closer to their physicians. And we've done it.
Or what we call in our profession that safe place.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Where patients can feel and express themselves.
Yes. They can feel that they can go and ask certain questions. Maybe, I'm really focused on this oncofertility aspect because I didn't expect it to be so prominent and yet so hidden at the same time. There are so many women that have lost their fertility due to cancer treatment, and they were either unaware of it or they were aware of it, but they weren't necessarily aware of the magnitude it might have after completing that treatment. It's something that I'm really happy that we've got to talk about, and I'm really happy that we have also scientific involvement, let's say, because we had a lot of physicians and embryologists, oncologists, people that wanted to help us to shape this exhibition in a way that's also scientifically accurate, because it's very important as we're talking to people who might not necessarily have all the medical information from the start. So we're teaching them new things. That's
you address, I saw or I noticed during these exhibitions, two subjects or topics very interesting: realism and hope. Let's begin with realism. Realism in which way or under which circumstances? Because realism, it's also a concept. Yes, it is also theory, so it depends on the field of expertise. What do you mean by realism with regard with this exhibition?
I think we've mostly covered so far all this aspect on realism. Well, it's showcasing everything, basically. It's not hiding the scary parts because they're too scary, not sugarcoating them so that they're friendly, showcasing them as they are, but not making it sound like a life sentence. This is how I try to approach it, and this is how Jody, my co-curator, and all my artists and the team, this is how we all got together and decided that this is kind of the best way, the best approach, to keep it real, to talk about everything, uncomfortable or not sugarcoat it, but at the same time, show people that even if it's bad, it still can get better. Because this is the reality of it. It can get very bad, and people need to know that, because some visitors, for example, may be going through the same thing that the artists went through. And they want to see that people feel what they feel. And they're not afraid to speak up. Because when you're going through hardship, you don't want to see an exhibition about your hardship that's being sugarcoated. That's the worst way to actually present a hard topic. So I think this is the realism behind it. It's a feeling. It's a feeling, not a concept.
Yeah, and it's something that will interact one with each other. And here I have to tell a little story about myself. I received last day an invitation to a Zoom meeting of a well-known specialist, a neurosurgeon that works on applications for cancer patients who are doing chemo or radiotherapy, being in hospital, and to have these applications on the mobile phone, and just before each chemo, etc., just to receive a video message from the loved one. And he asked me what I think, what should be put it there, etc. And I told him that not that I believe, but I am certain that every cancer patient will find, let's say, not more interesting, but he or she will find herself better in other people's message rather than not the loved one, but their circle of friends. Why? Because it is what you mentioned, maybe somebody from other part of the world, to send a message to a loved one, but for you, it is better than you receive it from your loved one. So it's these interconnections between people, within ideas, with the main purpose of healing. And he was very, let's say, thoughtful. And I will say to him, this will happen for sure, because always people, especially cancer patients, search the best way to heal themselves. And it's nothing that we have to be ashamed, or it's not a guilt but it's just something that we are searching for our healing. And the other thing that we've talked about is hope. Hope, it's one of the two pillars that we as psychoncologists we are working with. The other one is time. With time, it's a little bit difficult because we have to give time, yes, to the cancer patient. But regarding hope, we have to build hope with and for cancer patients. So, in this regard, how do you see hope, or what hope means for you from an artist perspective, or from everything that you've done so far, healing the patients?
I will share a story as well. It's not the easiest story, but it's a story that brought me hope during the whole creation of AI Brighter Tomorrow, Cancer and Beyond, which took almost 2 years, and it's still a lot of work going on. I connected 2 years ago or more with the mother of a boy who died at 12 years old after battling cancer for his entire life. They were very close. His mother was doing his chemo treatments. She was actually researching his chemo treatments because doctors were refusing to treat him, as he was considered beyond any help. And she refused to give up for 12 years. And they kept motivating each other to keep going. He was an incredibly smart kid and extremely motivated to bring education out there. He was attending school in the hospital, and he was extremely self-aware and extremely aware of how the teachers in the school of the hospital were treating kids differently than kids who are considered healthy and normal and attend normal schools. So he was extremely aware of the world around him and of what was happening to him, and was still going on because he had his mother close. When she lost him, it was obviously extremely hard for everyone who knew the story, and especially for her. First things first for her. And we did, it's part of the exhibition as well, we did a photo shoot with his mother, who was holding a heart that was handmade by her son. And that picture, I think it's one of the most heartwarming pictures I've ever seen and curated in an exhibition. And I think it's gonna stay with me probably for my entire career. She told me that through this exhibition, we're keeping him alive. And his dream was to travel the world. They're from Romania as well. And now we've taken him to New York through his mother, who was there and kept him going and alive for so long. This story is what brought me hope and motivated me to keep going with this project, to travel this exhibition to as many countries as possible, and to show it to the world. To have the world see that there are certain stories that maybe exist also in other parts of the world, I'm sure they do, that need to be out there. Because hope is about feeling less alone. When you enter this kind of exhibition and you read about and you witness directly certain stories that may resemble your story, you feel less alone and you want to keep moving forward. You know that there is hope. There is a brighter tomorrow. The title is not random. There is a brighter tomorrow. cancer and beyond.
But we have to believe it. This is the first. That's the first. It's the first step, as I like to put it, is hope. And since we are approaching the end of our interview, I would like to ask you the last questions. It is always said that art will never die. It just transforms itself, no? And you are living proof that art can have many faces. And it is not, as one of our greatest poets, Nikita Stonescu, said that it is not about the poets, but it's about the poetry. Yeah. Here it's not about the artist. Yeah. But it's about the art. Because the art itself, it's a miracle, not the artist who is doing it. And how do you see these interconnections? Because you begin, let's say, a new chapter in art, for example, to put it this way. So how do you see this in the future, these connections between art, science communications, oncology, cancer patients? Briefly, if you can.
Yeah.
Tell us.
It's brief anyway. I see more and more hospitals and medical centers, healthcare systems, using this approach to get closer to their patients, because marketing no longer works. I can guarantee you that. And this is the best marketing. This is the best communication. I don't know, brand communication specifically, but this is the best way to get closer to your patients, to show them that you care in a real way, not just in the way that you will offer them the best treatment. That's what they hope for all the time. That's what's normal, to go to the hospital and to get the best treatment possible. But what they also want is to be treated as human. And I say often, art humanizes medical journeys. It showcases the human aspect of what it means to be diagnosed with a certain condition. So I see it, it's the future. I definitely see it being used more and more. And I hope it's going to be used more and more. That would probably change a lot of perspectives and a lot of ways we approach certain medical conditions, certain topics, and so on.
And for sure, the perceptions.
Yes.
This is another step of perceptions. And I'm glad that we close this interview in a positive way.
Me too.
Leaving more questions than answers, which is the most important. Yeah, more things to debate further. And thank you very much.
Thank you too. It's been a pleasure.
And good luck with your exhibition further, and hopefully it will be a success as you wish.
Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to OncoDaily on YouTube. Hit the bell icon to stay updated.